I paid thousands of dollars in courses to learn what you're basically teaching on your podcast for free. What you're putting out there is so valuable. So, I just really want to acknowledge you, and I definitely send everyone to your podcast.
You were virtually one of the first mentors that I looked up to and started following. You're always one step ahead of the game. So I just wanted to give you kudos and props for that, because lots of people are watching, lots of people are learning from it.
Tucker and the whole TTM crew, Dan and Chris, thanks so much for your support. I love what you guys do, and a huge, huge fan. Having this support's huge. So I'm grateful for that.
Everybody out there in listener land, welcome back. This is episode 296 of the Real Dealz podcast, and I am your host, Tucker Merrihew. I hope you guys had a great turkey week over the course of this past, we'll call it holiday vacation week. Seems like Thanksgiving has kind of turned into almost like Christmas. At least it was around here in terms of the amount of people working, and kind of the week got cut short. We, of course, were in the office, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or at least most of us were anyway, and I was actually in the office Friday as well, but the rest of the world seemed to take Thursday through Sunday off, so it seemed like a very short week. So for all of you guys that took some time, hung out with the family, maybe traveled, went somewhere else to be with family, or just take some time off, I hope you guys had a good time, maybe recharged your batteries, and you're ready for this final push towards the end of 2019. It's crazy to think that we're going to be heading into 2020. I still remember where I was in 1999, New Year's Eve night. I was up in Vancouver, BC at a nightclub, and they played The End of the World as We Know It as the ball drop for 2000. So 2020 is not quite as cool as the 2000, but hey, it's 2020, right? It's kind of a big deal. So anyway, month left in the decade. Hopefully you guys are ready to wrap up the year strong and head into 2020 with a bang. Now, to kind of help you wrap up the year strong, I've got a really cool episode this week. And it's one that I've been planning to do for a while. We've got a repeat guest, a DFA member, a friend, an individual that I know very well. He actually came into my office probably going on 5 years ago now, or thereabouts. And at the time, he was working a day job, and he wanted to get into this thing called real estate investing. And I gave him a little bit of direction. He already had some direction. He was on his way. But I gave him a little more direction and just kind of gave him a little insight. And he hit the ground running, and he got traction quickly. He really excelled, especially when it came to talking with sellers, which is usually one of the areas that people struggle in a lot. But for whatever reason, he did really well with this. And ultimately, I think that was a big reason for him getting traction right away and just having a lot of success, and still having a ton of success, even now as he runs almost kind of a lifestyle real estate investing business. He works as much as he needs to. He does, around 30 deals a year, makes plenty of money, but he's very, very good with sellers. And I would venture to say, there comes a point, I think the quote is where, Mr. Miyagi and Daniel's son, it's like where the student becomes the teacher, right? And I would say there's a point where Elliot, who's going to be on the show actually, he is actually better at talking with sellers than I am at this point. And I'd say I'm pretty damn good, but he has utilized our negotiating with sellers training. He's been in the DFA for a long time. He's had a ton of real world experience in the real estate investing trenches. And I would say that he's probably better than me at it. And I don't relinquish that title very often, but I would say that he is. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to get him back on the show, and I wanted to really kind of do a deep dive on, how he negotiates with sellers, right? And look at some real world examples. We got some calls that he actually did with real sellers that we're going to splice in some of those calls, because I want you guys to hear how he actually interacts with sellers and not just how we're telling you about it. But then I want to go through kind of the different types of sellers that we run into, the different types of scenarios, how we navigate them, and really try and give you guys some tips and tricks to develop your skill set when it comes to negotiating with sellers. It's the most crucial skill set next to marketing, right? We spend money on marketing or energy or whatever it is to market, to get people to contact us who have property to sell. But then you have to actually talk to these people, negotiate with these people, and put these deals together. And in a time where there's so much competition, where everybody and their mother is buying houses and looking to flip houses, you have to be very good at both things, both on the marketing side and on the negotiating with seller side. And so because of that, I wanted to devote another episode to it. And I will tell you this, we are in the process of setting up a free resource for all of you guys that are out there in listener land to kind of help you continue to develop this skill. There's only so much that you can get from a podcast. Hopefully there's a lot, but we want to set up a resource for you guys to continually have interaction with Elliot, get tips, tricks, feedback, information on how you think you should approach things. And we want to make it very easy to do so. So what we're doing is we're actually setting up a Facebook group right now that you guys can join. We'll probably have it set up this next week, so you guys will listen to the show this week. We'll have it set up by next week, and we'll send out an email. So if you're not already, make sure you go to therealdealspodcast.com and get on our mailing list, and I'll send you all a link to this Facebook group that is going to be all about negotiating with sellers, and you guys can join for free. You can interact with Elliot. You can post your questions, scenarios, whatever, and he'll be posting a bunch of content on how to really master this skill of negotiating with sellers, which, like I said, is super important. So that's going to be this week's show, and I know you guys are going to dig it. Now, before we get into all that, a couple things I want to talk about. Number one is, for those of you guys that are going to be up in the Seattle area this next week, actually next Wednesday to be exact, Wednesday the 11th, I will be up actually speaking with the Caliber crew during the day. I'm going to head up there kind of early. Ian Morrell up there has, basically got me booked to speak to all of his agents in the afternoon. We're going to talk about direct seller marketing and things that his agents can use to generate more deals. And then that evening, Taro and company are having their fixated holiday party / meetup for the month, and I'll be on a panel up there for that. So if either of you guys are going to attend either event or either meetup, I'd love to see you, chat with you, talk shop, whatever it may be. Feel free to come up and say hey, and we'll have a conversation and talk about real estate and whatever else. So that's what I got coming up this next week. Beyond that, let's see what's going on with me and TTM. Well, we've got a whole bunch going on, actually. We've got a lot of projects. We've got a couple houses that we're in the process of selling. One that we've pre-sold already again. Over the past 3 houses that we've sold, we've got a collective dollar amount of somewhere around $5 million of those between those 3 houses. And within those 3 houses, we also have a collective days on market of 2. So $5 million worth of real estate sold between 3 units and a combined days on market of 2. I'd say that's pretty impressive. So it also is a testament of where the market is right now, which is if you have a quality product in a great area here in the Portland area, it's flying off the shelf, and people are paying a lot of money for it. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's a lot of talk out there about the doomsday preppers in the real estate crowd that are talking about the market crashing. I don't know if it's going to happen in the immediate future. I just don't see it, at least here locally in Portland. Obviously, real estate's a local phenomenon. The market may be a little less in balance in your market or in your area, but in Portland here, we have a lot of demand, not a lot of supply, especially in the renovated turnkey price points. There's a lot of lived-in product, but not a lot of renovated turnkey product within that existing construction, price range. New construction, obviously, it's new construction, but there's a lot of demand there, both on the new construction side as well, but especially in the turnkey existing construction market. So I just don't see it slowing down. And so we've got a lot of houses that we're going to be putting to market as we head into Q1 of 2020, I should say. And I think they're probably going to sell as quickly as everything else that we've sold over, or at least of the last 3 units. Maybe not quite as fast. It's hard to beat 2 days on market with 3 houses, but they'll sell pretty quick, I'm pretty sure. So beyond that, we also have our Lakeview project that we're going to be starting construction on in January, which will be probably somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million home. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do another $1 million builds type documentary on this one as well. This is going to be a really cool house. It has a panoramic view of the entire lake, Lake Oswego, and it's going to be an awesome house. We're in the middle of designing or tweaking the plan that we already had approved with the city and updating it design-wise, floor plan-wise, and some other things. But this will be probably the coolest, kind of swankiest house that we've ever built. So I'm excited for it. But we're going to document it as we did with our Dunthorpe property, which, by the way, will be profiled in Oregon Home Magazine this next week. It'll be on the cover. Apparently they took our office shot and they're going to put that on the cover, and then they're actually doing a 6-page article with various pictures and a write-up on myself and Joni and all the things that we've been able to accomplish, not only over the last 10 years, but kind of culminating with this project in Dunthorpe that we completed and that they put the spotlight on for the magazine. So other than that, we got a bunch going on, but I'm gonna cut it short because I want the focus of this week's episode to be on one of the core skill sets that you need to be successful right now as a real estate investor, and that is negotiating with sellers. So without further ado, let's get into the rest of the show and our repeat guest and fantastic interview with none other than Elliott Smith. All right, Real Dealz podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Iron Bridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Iron Bridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Iron Bridge for a very long time. I've personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Iron Bridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did. All right, everybody out there in listener land, welcome back. Or I shouldn't say welcome back. I should say welcome to our guest back. I've got a second-time guest on the show. I was talking to him last week, and I said, you know what? We got to do another show because there's a topic out there right now that it's a hot topic. I don't know if any of you guys remember that store in the mall, right? Hot Topic. Well, this is a hot topic when it comes to real estate investing right now, and it's one that we were a little bit ahead of our time when we put out a training on it a few years ago because not everybody had kind of landed in the direct-to-seller world. But now that we've been in this long run-up with the market, everybody has pretty much universally agreed that if you want to find great deals, you got to go direct to seller. The whole bidding on the MLS, bidding at auctions, you can do it, but you're just going to play the game of who pays the most. And so with that being said, that hot topic, that skill set that you have to know how to navigate and do well is negotiating with sellers. And so without further ado, I'll welcome back to the show, Mr. Elliott Smith. What's up, Elliott?
What's up? Good to be here. Excited to do this. This is my favorite thing in the whole world to talk about is seller negotiations. So it's what I cut my teeth on and about the only reason I make money in this business.
You know, I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but you came in this lovely C-class office space and sat across from me. And you said, I want to get into this real estate investing thing. I'm kind of sick of working this job. It's a good job, but I want to do something more and different. And I was like, well, go find some sellers and talk to them and see if you can find some deals. And I think you went about a week and you're like, hey, I'm talking to like 10 people. I think a couple of these are going to pan out. And man, you just ran with it. But times have changed a lot since then. It's a little more difficult. The competition level's more. The amount of people marketing is definitely more. And kind of the rules of engagement with sellers has changed a little bit due to that competition. So I don't know, maybe give everybody kind of a breakdown of the way you see the market right now and how you see the skill set of negotiating with sellers fitting into, finding success in this business.
Yeah, I see the market changing quite a bit. So we started doing this 5 years ago. I think we met with you about halfway through our first year, probably 3 or 4 months in. And I had gotten a couple deals, and then we started using your stuff and started doing better. But the one thing that always helped was I knew how to talk to people well. And so the last couple of years, starting out, we could send less letters and get, this, good amount of phone calls. And then we were wrapping up deals, getting deals. And now over the time, the market is getting busier, thanks to you guys like you that are helping other people grow their business, getting people into it. There's definitely is more competition. There's a lot of letters, a lot of people sending letters, doing cold calling, door knocking and lots of different things to try to go get deals. So it's definitely probably the top, like you talk about, like the top of the market, where people are in this business and trying to do well. But what I'm seeing right now, though, is a lot of people getting in it and dropping out because they don't have this skill. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to, if they can maybe get in front of people. But then guys like me or you come back and we end up getting the deal because we actually know how to deal with people. And so I think that's really, what's really setting people apart now is how you deal with sellers and how you treat them. Before, I think it was you could get the direct mail out the door. Not a ton of people are doing it. You get people on the phone. You could fumble your way through it. You're not competing with anybody. Yeah, you could get deals. But now the skill set that needs to shift is dealing with people and what we're good at. And we every year, I always tell Chrissy, I'm like, man, is this the year that we're gonna not buy anything? There's so many people in this, and every year we still do our 30 deals, or 25 to 35 deals every year. And that's like one, I talk about being a part-time real estate investor. I only work 10, 15 hours a week. And we just know how to manage sellers and buy deals.
Yeah, we looked at one today actually that, and I'll let you I'll get your take on what you think some of the classic scenarios that we run into these days are. But we met with a guy today who he had met with, I think, 2 or 3 other investors before us. And so he was, basically one of those classic examples where he's trying to bid everybody against each other, and you got to kind of navigate those waters to still try and get a decent deal, or at least be the guy that gets the deal. And then we had another one today that fortunately we had talked to a long time ago, and he called back and he said, will you still do that price? And we said, sure. So that was an easy laydown deal, but they're not all that easy, right? So most of them are on the front end there that I mentioned, where you've got multiple people that you're kind of negotiating with, and that's where the skill set comes in. So maybe for our listeners, talk about maybe some of the classic scenarios that you've seen out there that you run into time and time again, that these skills really play into when it comes to actually getting the deal versus just wasting your time and meeting with people and kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, I mean, we were running into people all the time. And so I think a lot of it is we don't get into bidding wars. We tell people that right up front. Like, I'm not gonna press. My partner and I always talk about, we're not gonna press. If the deal doesn't work for us, I'm not gonna be the biggest loser and pay the most. So knowing that in the back of my head, I have to instill confidence in the sellers, right? I think that's the biggest thing. You got a lot of people that went and bought some, course, and are thinking, oh, I'm gonna go buy this house, I'm gonna wholesale it. They're fumbling through this whole deal. They don't exude confidence. They don't talk like they know what they're doing. So from the moment we answer the phone to the moment we go to the house and then make the offer, is all I do is exude confidence that I am your guy. In my mindset, you don't need anybody else. You don't need to call anybody else. I'm your guy. I'm the one that's going to solve your problem. I'm the one that's going to help you through the situation. I've handled it hundreds of times. I know how to deal with you. I know how to help you. All these different things, right? And so how do I exude confidence to that person where, you can go buy stuff, there's all these different stores out there. There's the Nordstrom end, and then there's the dollar store end, right? And when I go to Nordstrom's, I know I'm going there and I'm confident that what I'm buying, I might be paying a little bit more, but I'm buying it knowing that it's going to last. I know that I can return it. I am confident in that sale, right? And what I'm buying. And so I just try to look at it that way, is I'm the Bentley of this business. And I portray myself that way. And I tell people all the time, I call their bluff all the time, and they say, hey, this guy said he'd do 170. I said, great, go with that guy. If he's willing to pay that, more power to him. I don't know how he can make money. But just make sure, there's probably some things in his contract that he's not doing. He's probably not the one buying it. He's probably, this or that, there's certain things. And I try to let them know that, hey, I am the real deal. I don't break these other guys down. I just say, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, and really try to dive into that way. And we lose deals. You're always going to lose deals. It's just a matter of life, and it's just, chalk it up. But like I said earlier, I still get my 30 deals a year. I mean, and life's good.
So would you say your approach is heavily weighted in like the education side of negotiations, where like you try and educate people to not only how your business runs, but what to watch out for if they're not going to take your offer? And do you feel like that resonates with people pretty well? I mean, obviously you can't win over everybody, but overall, do you think that resonates with people pretty well?
Yeah, totally. And I think you got to know what kind of seller you're dealing with too. You got to know, is this seller just searching for the highest, biggest sucker, right? Is he shopping 10, 15 people trying to get the most amount of money? Or is this somebody that I can build a relationship with? So my biggest sales tactic is first relationship. How do I build a relationship with this person very, very quickly? And how do I build, and I know everybody throws this around this word rapport. How do I build rapport, build rapport, build rapport? But I look at it more as how do I come across as a real human being, just like them, right? And then how do I explain to them that my business needs to make this much money and it needs to make money off this deal and why I'm making that offer, and then educate them on how this business works and, you know, what the wholesalers are, what these people are doing, or what other guys are doing in my market. And you know, I have competitors in my market that I totally respect, and I'll tell them right up that, you know, that's a good guy. If he's paying more, then go for it, you know, and that's just how it is. I think you can trust him. But then there's other sellers or buyers that I'm like, yeah, you might want to be careful. And so, and I always find out who they are. I can always find out, and that's a good, know your competition is. That's always an important thing too.
Do you ask, the guy that I mentioned that's got, had multiple people through last week, he's definitely one of those guys where he looks at what we do as a commodity, no question. I mean, Chris was there today and the deck was falling off the back of the house. And he's like, oh, this is no problem. You can just prop this up, no big deal. And Chris is, we've fallen through enough decks over the years. He knows when, to walk out on a deck and when not to. So, a guy like that doesn't really value, what it is that we do. But, I guess when you talk to people, do you just kind of, you're trying to be a real human being, but, you probably classify sellers into different categories right away. What do you see those different categories being generally with the types of sellers that you see?
Yeah, I kind of just break it down. Have you ever heard of the DISC personality profile that they do? Yeah. So I try to break it down in those, just kind of in those, there's the high energy people that want to be dominant, that want to be in charge. So I kind of let them feel like they're in charge of this situation. There's the high intellectuals that you got to try to push out and find an intellectual way to do this. There's the emotional people. You got to find their emotional needs that they're trying to fill. So I try to break it down in that kind of category. And then I try to match myself in a certain way that allows them to be the most comfortable. Because if I'm always this boom, high sales guy, sign here, sign here, sign here, then I'm screwed. But there is sometimes that works where people are like, I'm ready to go right now. Like you said, that guy called you back. Can I do that price? I'm ready to go. Made a decision. I'm ready to go. Here's what we need to do. Let's get it done. And then there's other people that you got to hold their hand. You got to weave them through the process. And people always forget this is a commodity business, but people always forget that this is a people business. And so you're not trying to win houses. You're trying to win people. And how do I win people? How do I win followers? How do I be a leader? How do I win followers? There's so many different styles, and how do I get these people to want to trust me with probably their biggest asset, and that's really the thing is, I try to break them down into different categories, and how do I match myself to that category?
One thing that I've heard thrown around out there is a way to connect with sellers. I'm curious your opinion on it. I don't think I've ever asked you, but I'm just curious. So like you walk through the house and I see a picture, like in our, we're talking here on Skype and I see the picture behind you, and let's say it's a picture of a boat, right? And you walk through, you're like, oh, do you like boating? Well, I like boating too. In fact, I had a mastercraft once. Do you use strategies like that, or do you try and be more of like a real genuine human being when it comes to like asking questions and figuring out, kind of pain points, what's important to them, things like that?
Yeah, I don't try to come off fake. I think you can push it where you're trying to build rapport, where it comes off really, really fake. Like you don't give a shit about their boat, right? Yeah. It's like, but I come across where I talk about their family, their life, what they deal with. I struggle with some bipolar depression. I struggle with addiction issues. I struggle with, hard issues in family, divorce. I've struggled with, I have a sister that we don't really talk to. I have different things in life that I've struggled with. I coach AAU basketball. I just had a kid, my first kid. So I bring up life. Like, how do you bring up life that you can relate to people? And I just talk about, I try to find out about them, but then I relate it with me personally. So like, I've always found that if you can relate like something that is dear to somebody's heart, like, yeah, the boat, they might like the boat, like they might get enjoyment off that. But if you start talking about their kids or things, and then they might have struggles or things that touch their heart that are sensitive to them or bring them tons of happiness, or, was a hard time in their life, and then you can talk about the hard time in your life, and then we can both celebrate together because we both had victory over this hard time in our life, and how do we have a win together in this little moment. And you can build that connection with somebody where you can relate to them and they can relate to you, and they find out, oh shit, you're just a real person. Like I went to an appointment, and this lady, we went down there, and I had just gone to the gym. And so I'm like, oh, I gotta go down there. And this house was down in a smaller town. And I knew the sellers I was dealing with. They weren't, high class sellers. They're normal people, but they weren't high class. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not changing my clothes. I'm just going to go in my gym clothes. So I go down there, and the lady opens the door. She's like, oh, I expect you to be in a suit. And I'm like, no, I'm just a normal person. You know what I mean? What do you, and I just go in there, and you just watch their tension melt away, right? They're like, oh, this guy's just like me, right? Except they didn't work out, but you know what I mean? But he's just a normal guy, right? It's just shit like that. I don't have a fancy car.
They didn't work out, but
yeah.
Okay.
No, they definitely didn't work. They definitely didn't work out,
okay,
Tucker.
you think that, you don't say that, right? Just for clarify for our audience. Yeah.
But it's not even about the workout. I just say, hey, I was at the gym. I'm a normal guy. I was just at the gym. I'm not dressed in fancy. I'm not trying to sell you shit, right? This either works or it doesn't work. And that's really the thing is, how do I be just a normal person? Like, that's the biggest thing is everybody's, I listen to all these sales trainings out there, and it's always like, you're trying to sell them, close them on the phone, close them over the phone, tie them up, get them. And it's just like, you know what? Fuck you. I want to be a good person. And my deal is, I want to go build relationships with as many people as I can. My partner and I have a saying, if we see you in 6 months at Fred Meyer, whether we bought the house or not, I want you to come up, give me a hug. I want you to shake my hand. We've all had those people where like, oh, we had a kind of confrontation with them, and we see them in the store and we're like, oh, I got to go the other way. I want everybody that I come into contact in this business with to come up to me and be like, hey, you were great. That's why we are the highest rated in all our markets, because we treat people like they're fucking people.
No, I think that's a good point. I actually was at a 40th birthday party, believe it or not. I'll be turning 40 here shortly too, which is scary. But my buddy turned 40 this weekend, and the CPA for the company here was also my college roommate, and he was like, hey, this lady came to us that sold their house to you guys, and she wanted to see if she had any tax liability on the money. And I was like, well, what'd she say? And she said, no, she thought the transaction was great. She loved you guys. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's good. That's obviously what we strive for. But more importantly, I think one of the things you said is that, instead of connecting about the boat on the wall, right, you try and connect with people about life, which I think is a much deeper connection. And it's not as it's more genuine too, let's say, right? Because if you have those connection points just in life, it's much more of, it's just real, right? The boat, like you said, nobody gives a shit about the boat, right? It's just a tool to try and connect with people. But if you actually, ask questions, get information about their life, you can really connect with them on a little better or higher level, which then kind of furthers the ability to get the deal at some point, if that's on the table.
Yeah. And I think people always, they go in there thinking, I gotta get this deal. I always had the mentality, even when we were first starting, even when we went full time and we're scared of shit, right? It's like, I never had the mentality that I have to get this deal, whether I needed the deal or not. I think that really plays into it as well. If you can just have the mentality that, hey, I'm just going to go meet these people, and if I buy their house, great. If I don't, I met some new people. Hopefully they're cool. Shit, I've had guys offer to smoke weed with me and drink with me and hang out, and it's just like, luckily I'm 9 years sober, so I can say no thanks. But anyway, it's just a relationship building, and I think it's a skill that can definitely be learned. But I think you really have to learn this skill. I was fortunate to grow up with a father that he loved going and doing stuff, like ski trips. He's on ski patrol. He'd go whitewater kayaking, but he'd go with all his adults. But I'm 9, 10, 11. He'd always take me with him, and I'm going on these trips. I'm the only kid, so I had to be respectful. I had to learn how to talk to adults. And then golfing growing up, I always had to learn how to talk to adults. You just got to relearn how to talk to people. And I think that's the biggest skill that people don't learn, especially because we're all head buried in our phone all the time, right? You don't learn how to talk to people. We don't have communication anymore. Like, I always want to actually talk to people on the phone. All these kids nowadays, they just want to freaking text. Even my buddies that are older, all they want to do is just text. And it's like, it's a skill that people are losing, is how to actually connect with another human being. And so really diving into how do we connect with other human beings is really, really a skill that is something that's needed in this world, not just for real estate, but just in general.
Yeah, I think it obviously plays, it bodes well for real estate as well, because, as you can connect with people, our margins can be very large. So if you can connect with people and get a deal, obviously that's a good thing. So, all right. So I got a softball question for you here that I'm sure you got some answers to, but what are some of the recent negotiations or notable negotiations that you've done on some deals that you think are worth talking about that listeners would like to hear?
I don't know. You want to do the crackhead close, the 100K close? What do you want to talk about?
You got some good names for them. Crackhead close is a good one. 100K close. Let's start with the crackhead close because that one sounds intriguing.
All right. So we've all had deals, right, where people start getting cold feet. Right. There's always those situations. A lot of times it has to do with death, when there's a death in the family. Right. And there's some probate issues, or they're going through probate. And so we were dealing with this probate, and they needed to sell the house. The mom had 3 kids. She left the house to all 3 of them the proceeds, but she put the daughter in charge because the other 2 brothers were meth heads. She's living with this boyfriend at the house. They're not paying their mortgage, and they need to sell the house. And so she's living with her boyfriend, who's kind of pushing the sale a little bit because he wants money for probably drugs. And so, and she, did too. But anyway, so they called. They were having cold feet. We had it signed up. We were getting ready to close, and they were just having a little bit of cold feet. And I'm like, taking them through this deal. She's like scared of her brothers because her brothers are like, don't sell the house. Like, we'll kill you if you sell the house. Like, all this stuff. Like, super violent, right? And so, but they needed to sell the house. Like, and it's not that I needed to buy the house. It's they needed to sell the house. They needed to be done with this. Like, this house was going to get trashed. They were going to lose everything, right? They weren't going to get any money. Right now, they're all going to get like $50,000 each. It's like, they need to get something, right? So these guys were just, crazy.
So you buy the house, you're gonna give some drug addicts and a crackhead $50,000 each. Yeah. I don't know if the story has a happy ending as far as that goes, but let's go on to the close here. Yeah.
For her, I think it does, right? Because she was the only kind of normal one that needed to get out of this situation. She was trying to buy a mobile home, go live with her son, get out of the situation. Okay. And so, but she had all these people, all these things threatening her. So basically what I do is I took her through all the points, right? I'm talking to her about, hey, okay, so where do we want to be? We want to be here. You want to go buy a mobile home so you can live with your son, get out of these bad situations. These are abusive relationships, all these things. So your mom left you in charge of this because she knew you were the best person for this job. She knew that you could handle it. She knew that you were going to take care of and do the right thing. And deep down in your heart that selling this house is what is necessary. And really just taking her through this whole close. And, the call starts off with the boyfriend talking to me, but then I get her on the phone. Is how do I walk her through this process of why this is the best thing for her? And so, and at the end of the day, it was the best thing for her. We closed the next day and it all worked out good. At the end of the day, it all worked out good. We let her stay a little bit longer in the house. We helped her move. We helped a lot of things. And, I've talked to her and it sounds like life's going better for her and it was the right deal. And so, and there was some more navigating with the brothers that were threatening her at the end too, because they filed an injunction on the sale after it was sold to stop it or to reverse it. And then, but we found out they had backed child support. One guy had like $90,000 in back child support. One guy had court fees. And so we softly mentioned to them that if you have any court fees, we were dealing with our lawyer and we're like, if you have any court fees, if you guys put this like in an injunction and all the proceeds get tied up in the courts, they're going to take all those court fees out of the sale because you owe them to the court. So it's funny how fast that injunction got put away.
What was their gripe? Just out of curiosity, like, did they just want to sell it for more money to somebody else, or what was they were just trying to be difficult?
They were just trying to be difficult because they were living there, but they weren't paying mortgage. They weren't. They didn't. They had converted the garage in this room. They had typical drug house, right? They didn't want. Okay. If they could squeeze another 3 or 6 months out of it, that's all that matters to them. And so
I called that Peter Pan syndrome with grown men that either have, some have drug problems, some just live with mom, but they just don't want to leave for whatever reason, right?
Yeah. And so really, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, hopefully some of that money's left. I highly doubt it with those guys, but it's funny. All the things we had to navigate on this deal to actually get this deal done was pretty amazing.
Well,
So we can cut into the call here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Hey, Elliot, what are you doing, man?
Hey, good, Paul. How are you?
Man, I've got so much on my plate, man. You
I
have
hear
no
you.
clue.
What's going on? Yeah,
Yeah.
the title company is trying to get a hold of Ann to get her scheduled to come sign.
I know. Yeah, you know what? Hey, Elliot, I'm telling you honestly, she's got these idiotic brothers who absolutely forbid her to sell the house. Hey, it's the one thing that he has said to her, don't you sell that house. Borderline threat. She got a lot of kin up in this neck of the woods. And my advice to her is she got to follow her heart, but more important, she got 2 little kids that she got to look out for. Ashes, her mom's wedding dress.
Well, so that's why the house needs to be sold, Paul. I mean, you guys are going to keep having these issues with this whole process. You guys. I mean, I've sent money to the title company. We spent money on this.
You're right.
I mean, this is, the way to solve the solution is to be done with this.
You know what? Hey, you know what? You know what a buddy of mine who I've known for years told me last night? Why doesn't she have a gun? He said, why doesn't she have a gun? And yeah. I was stuck. Hey, look, this guy, I'll be honest, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, is Ann with you?
She's on. Well, you're on speaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, Ann, I think the best thing to do here is to sell this and be done with it. Take your money, get away from them. Don't tell them where you live, and be done with this. You can mail them a check once everything's done, and then just be done with it. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's not doing any good. It's just going to keep going down in value because you are going to just keep trashing it, destroying the property. You're going to keep running into these issues. I mean, you've been having these issues.
I know.
So, I mean,
no, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think once it's done, I mean, they can't threaten you anymore because it's already done. And so at the end of the day, if they threaten you, then go file a police report. And, I mean, you already have restraining orders, but just get away from them. Don't tell them where you're moving to, and go there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to...
I get money once I get the money for the house, I'm going to try to see if I can bribe the chick who stole my mom's ashes. See if I can pay her off.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, the whole thing, but you got to get away from this. You got to get yourself away from it. You got a job. You got a good future. You have a good chunk. I mean, most people don't get $40,000-$50,000. I mean, you have a good chunk and a good to start fresh. You know what I mean? So let's do this. Let's get it done. We'll help you. We'll help you the whole way. You don't have to. We're there for you the whole way. If you need our help going over there with the cops, we can do that. We can solve these problems. We can do these together. But you got to.
Do you guys ever deal with like mobile homes or anything? Could you guys?
We deal with them. I don't have one right now, but every now and then we'll get them. But
do you ever find them out there? I mean, can I find one somewhere out there for relatively cheap? I'm only gonna have $50,000.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't know of any out there that are out there. I mean, I think your best bet right now would just be to rent something, and then do that, and then we can try to find a mobile home or try to find something like that that you can get maybe have just lot rent on. But I mean, the first thing is to do is to sell this before they damage the property anymore, and then all of a sudden, then you're stuck with less.
Yeah, I know, and no money to fix it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been so busy today. All right. I guess we could.
Hey, Elliot.
Yeah, we'll come over.
Hey, Elliot.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you guys have your plate full of what you're dealing with, but you don't understand what this entails is idiotic brothers willing to go to an extent that most men are not foolish enough to go to. Can you help her get a social security number to hide so that her brothers, if they have her social security number, which I'm sure they do, because her mail's been being stolen by the former roommate. Look, it's serious shit with these boys. I mean, they're that big of idiots. And not only is it with those boys, but she's got a lot of family in town, and they have all risen up against her, telling her that she's wrong, no matter how right she is.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I deal with, this is what we do in this business, and I've dealt with stuff like this before. Once it's done, it's done. Your mom left the property to Ann because she was the one that she knew would do the right thing, right? That's why she left it there. You guys have been dealing with this for, I mean, your mom's passed, almost 2 years now?
Yeah.
And you've been dealing with this for a long time. It's not going to get any better. The only way to make this better is to cut ties, sell the property, be done with it. People forget. I mean, I understand that sometimes they're crazy. Put restraining orders on them. Call the cops if you see them. I mean,
yeah,
they're not going
right.
to, I mean, they're not going to come murder you. Or, if they beat you up, then they're going to be, if they do anything to you, they're going to go to jail. If they break a restraining order, they're going to go to jail. And that's the system. But, I mean, it's just, you've been dealing with this for so long already, it's not going to get better. I mean, that's so you have to take you should take this step. This is I think this is the only option at this point.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and then this house goes to nothing, then you have pissed off brothers, and you have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
At least this way you have, something.
If they get pissed off and come set it on fire or something.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. All right. Hey, how long are they there at the title company?
They're there till 5, so just give them a call back.
Okay.
And then, because I sent my money in today, and so, give them a call back, right. And then and talk to Shelly, and they will get you all set up.
All right. Thank you, Elliot.
Yeah, thanks. And then just call me if you need anything. I got my phone on me. I'll text you guys my personal phone number right now, so you have my personal cell phone number. Okay, and we'll get through this together.
All right, thanks, Elliot. I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks, Dan. Bye, Paul.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Let's jump to the now that we've kind of gone through that story, people have heard kind of how you negotiated that call, which is a real call, by the way. Obviously, we're putting real calls in here, real situations. But what's the 100K close? Because it sounds very profitable, so I'm assuming that it is.
I call it the 100K close because this guy called in, and he the day before he wanted the day he called in, he wanted $320,000. And this guy talked really slow, and I'm very, smart. I was a contractor, and I could fix this house, all these deals. And within 36 hours, we bought the house for $215 or $220 minus. We paid the tenant $5,000, but so we got it for $215. But so within 36 hours, I had him talk down $100,000. And he had said in there, in this call, he said, I'm a contractor, so, I can fix this house. I could come fix it. He lived, 6 hours away. And I said, well, great. Why aren't you come fix it? And he's like, well, no, I'm not going to come do that. Because he was trying to tell me you could fix this house for way cheaper than I was saying you probably need about $80,000 worth of work. And then he's saying I could do it for way cheaper because I can do all the work for free. And I'm like, well, great. Drive on over here. Kick the tenant out. Drive over here. Spend the time. The 3-4 months it's going to take you. and come fix it. And he's like, well, no, I wouldn't do it. So it's a really good call talking about how to handle objections, right? He also said in there in the call that he had another guy offer him $270. I said, instantly, take it, take that deal and run with it. And I said, he's like, and it kind of puts him in his tracks because he's trying to say, hey, somebody's willing to offer more. And he didn't expect me to say that. And so then at that point, I'm like, has the guy seen the house? And he said, well, no. And I said, well, wait till he gets in the house and you'll have some issues. But he kept telling me, I got all these other guys looking at it. I want to make a decision, but I have all these other guys looking at it, trying to get me bid up. And I'm like, and I just kept calling his bluff. And it's really, how do you handle the objections and stick with your guns? Because we would have paid $240, $250 for this property. But I'm like, I know this guy in my head. I know how this guy was working. I'm just going to keep calling his bluffs. And I do that sometimes. And sometimes I lose. But, you got to be willing to call people's bluff in this deal. You got to stand your ground. You got to know who you're dealing with. And that's really about how you read people. And so we can break into some of those objections that, right now and listen to some of those and how we handled those.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll break into those.
Do you have any idea of what you're looking to? Yeah. Do you have any idea of what you're looking to get for the property?
I want $320.
Okay.
Which is very cheap because if you turn it over, I'm sure you could get $450. Yeah,
okay.
It's a sweet lot. But
okay.
I've already spoke with 2 other people today, so there's 3 people that are in on the deal. You and 2 others. And
okay.
I said whoever makes the best offer gets it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to let you guys offer, and then that's it.
Is there a time for us to go walk the property?
Of course. Yeah, Mary is there. She's the tenant that her husband left her.
Okay.
So her phone number is, let me see here. I told her she's like the acting realtor. I told her she gets $5,000 for helping me out.
Okay.
Because she'll have to move probably.
Yeah.
Unless you keep her, I don't know. Mary is the name. The number is 36.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give Mary a call and then set up time to go walk in and let you know where we're at.
Okay. Your name Elliot?
Elliot, yeah.
Yeah, Elliot. So try to do this as quick as you can. So if you call me back first, you'll probably get the house.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go.
So try
let me
to
go
be
run.
prompt about it.
Yep, I will do. I'll get on it right now.
Because it's a sweet property, believe me. When you see it, you'll know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in a perfect spot too. It's right by the lake. So.
Okay, let me
All right,
let me get on it right
now.
Elliot.
Elliot. Appreciate your time. All right,
yeah,
bye. Hello.
Hey Daniel, Elliot Smith here.
Oh, hi Elliot. How you doing, buddy?
Good, thanks. Hey, we just got out of the house.
The tenant had called me.
Yeah.
After you had left. And when your friend walked to the back of the fence?
Yeah.
It goes 100 more feet past that.
Yeah. No, we understand. We understand
right.
the size of the property.
All right.
What was the last time you were in that property?
5 years.
Okay. Can I be totally blunt with you and just tell you how our feelings are?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. It's probably going to need $100,000 in work. It's got carpet from the '60s still. The bathrooms are going to have to be gutted. The kitchen's going to have to be redone. If you're going to get max value out of this place, it definitely needs a new roof on it ASAP, sooner rather than later, because it's just caked with moss.
Yeah, I know.
It needs windows. I'm guessing the grow room in the back that you were telling me about, or the little, was that permitted ever? The shed in the back?
Oh, that was permitted.
Okay. Nice. And then, the tax assessor's not doing you any favors because it's on the extremely busy street. It is by the park and Lacamas Lake and all that, but it is on a very busy, one of the busier streets in Camas. That's the main thoroughfare in Camas.
Well, yeah, you knew that.
Yeah, I knew that. So we're not going to be anywhere close to your 320.
Where would you be?
We're going to be in the low 2s.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
yeah, it's okay. No big deal.
I mean, if that's successful, I mean, if that's something you want to think about, I mean, we take it with Mary in there. We close on the 15th, all cash, and no more inspections.
Yeah, but I can't give it away.
I don't feel like that's giving it away. If you were to walk it, you would. You can't. Yeah. There's a lot of work, and it's probably only worth $340 fixed up. So I mean, we do this. I mean, we buy over 80 houses a year. So this is what this is what we do for a living. So and we're not trying to steal from you. It's just the facts of the matter.
Yeah, that's okay. So, I did have another offer. What would your offer be then?
Our offer would probably be right around 220.
Okay. So I'll keep your number then.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the other offer come in at?
Oh, the other guy was 270.
Oh, take it and run.
Well, no, I've got another guy that's going to check it out. And there's a lot more people that buy for cash, you know.
Yep, there is.
You know, see, if I was there, I'm retired handyman. You know, I could fix it perfect for like, the only thing I would have to pay for would be the roof.
Yeah.
But everything else I could do for free, you know, because...
Yeah. Well, if you want to move back into it, yeah, you could totally do that.
No, I'm not going to be moving back. No. It's cosmetic. Everything you mentioned is cosmetic.
So,
you know.
But did the other guy that offered 270 even walk it? Because Mary said that nobody else has walked the property.
No, he said that's what he would offer. That's where he said it comped at.
Mm.
So he hasn't looked at it.
Yeah, so he hasn't been
and
inside,
I told him I don't even want him to look at it because I've already been. A guy was going to buy it a couple of years ago for $280 cash.
Okay.
And the tenants were crying, and I got out of that deal for my tenants because they wanted to buy it. And then, of course, that didn't work out. I should have taken it then, I guess.
Yeah. Well, either way, you're doing all right on it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I could put a roof on it. You know, like a roof's $10,000.
Yeah. Then the issue you have to deal with that is when you get people in the house and getting the pet smell out of the house. People won't want to stay in there long enough to actually look at it.
Oh, you mean they're going to have to like prime the flooring? You mean?
There's a lot of work. It's a bigger project than we normally do. So, if you think you can get a better offer somewhere else, then by all means, we got plenty. Yeah,
I couldn't take that amount.
Okay.
No. But I appreciate you spending the time on it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello?
Hey, Dan, Elliot Smith here.
Oh, hi, Elliot. What happened?
Oh, so we were just at the doctor's appointment. We're having our first baby, so.
Right now?
No. December 23rd.
Just a checkup? A checkup?
Yeah, yep.
Did she pass?
Yeah, she passed, I think. Yep.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Oh, cool. Then you can have them take the trash out and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Help you fix that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I talked to my partner Corey. We have to, that's usually how we work. We just come with our best offer. We don't try to low.
That's fine.
We'll close it on the 15th of December, all cash. We'll keep the tenant in there. We'll take over her month to month. She's on a month to month, correct?
Yeah. You mean you mean she could stay while you fix it?
Well, no, we'll ask her to leave, but we'll give her some more time. We'll give her more
a little
time.
time.
Yeah, but we'll take care of that, so you don't have to be the one to evict her.
Well, she's acceptable to move. You know, I'm gonna pay her $5,000. I'm gonna pay her $5,000.
Yeah, and if she gets out on the 15th and you pay her that's great. But just know that we can keep her in there for a month more or so. You know, just technically, you need to give them some time to move.
Could you? I wonder. It'd be okay if you close like beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, we could do that. That's fine.
You know, so it'd be on my next year's taxes for me. You know.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so $220 is what the amount would go in my checking.
No, there's costs with that.
What's the cost?
Well, there's the excise tax. Seller pays
how much
excise
is that?
Tax. That's 1.78%. That goes straight to the state of Washington. And
okay.
And then so you got about two and a quarter. We have closing costs. And you have closing costs. So I figured about 2.25%. So you're about $4,000, $4,400 in closing costs. So you probably
it's
get
down. Like
115,
216,
216, 215, 5 somewhere in there is what would go into your checking account.
Okay. Well, that offer is going to be okay but let me listen to these other guy, and then I will tell you by close of business tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. After that, we'll probably,
tomorrow's my deadline.
Okay.
So I started yesterday, and I'm going to finish tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a 2-day sale.
All right.
Yeah, because I don't want it. I have to unload it, and your offer is very good, and chances are I'm going to go with you, you know.
Okay.
Because, the place is a mess.
Yeah.
You told me, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's all messed up. Yeah. So I appreciate all your time, and let me go ahead. And since you're my number one guy right now, your name's Elliot, right?
Yeah, what's your email? I'll send you an email with an offer and a proof of funds.
Okay. At AOL.
Is that Gmail or Yahoo?
It's at AOL.com.
At AOL. Okay. All right, I'll send you an email over with the proof of funds, and I'll go from there.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, good morning. This is Elliot.
Oh, hi, Elliot. This is Dan Riker. We spoke yesterday.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Yeah, we were talking about a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think you said that the place was messed up and you can only offer $220.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I wanted to do is there's another man that's going to make an offer, and I wanted to know, I just wanted to see if that's your final offer, or can you offer more or not? Then I'll know what to compare it to his on, because I might end up taking your offer. So
okay. Yeah.
Is that the final offer?
Let me think about it. Let me talk to my business partner.
Okay, great.
But we don't do bid wars, so we're not going to go back and forth. If you think our offer's a good offer, it's going to be good, and then if not...
Yeah, you go ahead and tell me your highest offer, and then I'll let you know tomorrow, yes or no.
All right.
All right?
All right, thanks.
Because I'd like you to get it. I'd rather have you get it, because you're right there next door to it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you get it and you make the money for that city because I like that city and I'd rather have you get it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
well, let me
talk
to my partner and I'll call you back.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Elliot.
Hi, is this Elliot?
Yeah, that's Sam.
Oh, this is Dan Riker. I was going to sign this contract and email it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you hadn't signed it yet.
And it should be signed.
No, it isn't.
Okay, it should be a two. Let me sign it and then send it back to you. And send it to you again.
That would be great. Or I could just send you mine signed and then you can sign it and send it.
Yeah. So there should be an initial page on the first side and then on the first page and then sign the second page.
Okay, well my printer printed 3 pages.
Okay, there should just be 2.
You're CNE Real Estate, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is the right document. I don't know why it printed. My printer's probably just kind of weird. But
okay.
I guess it might have printed them a little bigger than yours or something. But it's got a place for your initials and our
on the first page. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the last page it has the signatures.
Okay, yep.
Which
but it should be on the second page though. So you might want to just change your font so you can get it all on 2 pages.
Well, it's fine on 3 though. I mean, it's legal on 3.
Yeah. Okay, then just every page needs to be initialed.
I'll send you mine signed. Since I'm computer illiterate, so
me too.
It's I think you're better at it than me. But I think if I send you mine signed right now, and then you just sign it and send me the whole signed thing.
Yep, will do.
It'd be easier for me because I had a lot of trouble just getting this printed. I'm very illiterate on the computer.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna send you mine signed and initialed, and then you could just send me a copy that you have signed.
Okay, sounds good.
And then we'll be all done. Yep. And then I guess the next step will be later on to get are you going to send me like a mobile notary or something?
Yep, I'll send you a mobile notary.
Okay, because I've done it before,
Okay.
So thanks so much, Elliot.
You're welcome.
The other guys didn't, one guy had a little more of an offer, but I'd rather use you, so anyway, so.
Okay.
Yep. Because your
awesome.
offer's fine.
Right.
Your offer's good anyway.
Awesome. All right.
Yep. All right, then. You'll get these in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Elliot.
Yep.
Bye.
So just real quick, like when people tell you that they want, like, let's say 320 for the house, it's astronomically high. Do you just write those people off right? Well, you obviously don't write those people off right away, but what do you take them through to kind of whittle that number down to determine whether or not it's worth your time to continue that conversation?
A lot of it comes with their tone of voice and their personality over the phone and how, if I think I can deal with them. If the way they say that 320 is, and I try to ask them, is that hard and fast? Like, are you stuck on that number? Is that what you need to get? And then, if they're yes, then I kind of, I say, well, basically I have this script that I always say, well, and this is before I get to price, but I always say, hey, if the house is fully updated, 2019 standards, new roof, new kitchens, new baths, windows, siding, things like that, then your best bet's always going to be the retail market. But if the house needs some updates, some work, then we can be a good fit because we have in-house contractors. You're not paying any realtors commissions. We can close on your timeline. You can take what you want and leave the rest. It's a lot smoother transaction. Now, we do this as a business. We do buy these houses to make money. And so then I right in the beginning call, I do that, which then kind of sets up the rest of the call. And that's kind of how I filter people out. So they'll either say, oh, it's retail, or they'll say, no, it needs work. And if they say, no, it needs work, then I know no matter what their number says, I'm still going to try to work them because I know that they need to sell it to somebody like me in the first place, right? And then I just try to figure out, are these the type of people that are going to do the work themselves? are these the type of people that can afford to do, can want to pay contractors to go do it? Or are these people that want to hit the easy button? What kind of people are these? And then I build a relationship and go through that rabbit hole.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we always have a hard time determining, I won't say a hard time, but it's tough to determine sometimes whether or not, it's worth to continue putting more effort into people, but you kind of just plinko them down, it sounds like, to kind of figure that out. We, the one we had today, the guy said he wanted 450, I think, to start, and now he's down to 300. So, it was kind of one of those situations where we're like, well, we know the house needs work. We think he's probably posturing. He says he's got all these people willing to offer all this money. Turns out he doesn't, of course, right? But that's kind of the game these days that you got to play.
Yeah, and that's what you got to feel out. You also got to feel out like talking to other people, and they'll tell you usually like, oh, I got some letters in the mail. I'm calling 3 or 4 people, and then I figure out the situation. But I always look at the phone call as like a funnel, and so everybody's big on the funnel hacking or all this shit, right? And so, but how do I get the seller call is just a big funnel, and how do I funnel them in through different stages to get to the end result of getting the appointment with a realistic price in mind? Right. That's so then when either myself or my partner goes on the appointment, it's usually, we're not that far apart. We're talking to them. We're building more relationships at that point, but we're trying to funnel them into that point. Now, sometimes though, people will call and they'll have certain situations, a probate, divorce, the renter trashed the place, where we just set the appointments. We don't even ask the price, right? You just go on the appointment, you just go walk the property, and then I build a rapport because I have a better chance of building more rapport quicker in person, and then I don't want them to call a bunch of other people either.
Yeah, I think the face-to-face thing is important. We definitely use that card as much as we can when we feel like there's at all a chance, because like you said, you can get a lot more out of people face-to-face than you ever can over the phone.
Yeah, exactly. So it just depends on the situation, and that comes with time and experience, and having guys like you and me that can have that experience and navigate those waters on how to deal with certain situations, right? I think helps a lot, just because we've seen it. I mean, you've been doing this for, how many years? I've been doing this for 5. I've taken thousands and thousands and thousands of phone calls. I've gone on hundreds and maybe thousands of appointments. It's like there's some experience level to it that if you can find a way to build it quicker, your experience quicker, I think that's important, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, I was talking to an investor last week, and they were like, how many calls you guys get where they're not talking to anybody else, or say they're not talking to anybody else? And I'm like, well, very few these days, right? So that's why this skill set is just so important, because virtually everybody you talk to is either talking to somebody else too, or posturing like they are, and you have to know how to navigate that.
Yeah, and you got to be willing to call people on the carpet, right? You got to be willing to walk away in this business, and I think that's one of the probably made me the most money, is being willing to walk away. But also having that mindset where, especially since we're flipping most of our stuff and you're building out and flipping most of your stuff, right? I don't want to tie up a deal or go buy a deal that's a marginal deal and take my resources and my capital and my contractors away for a deal that's really not a great deal because I didn't negotiate it well. And then all of a sudden have 2 really good deals pop up that I can't buy or something, or I have to wholesale out and make a minimal amount of money instead of being able to take it down and get the max out of that property, right? So you really got to look at it as, you got to have your box that you're willing to be in, and you just want to stay in that box, and you don't want to deviate from that box. And so what's your buy box, and how do you do that? And how do you not try to, because a lot of times you can just chase your tail. If you're running through all these leads and it's everybody that's got a pulse and you don't know how to navigate them, then you're just chasing your tail and you're not going to make any money.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's it's opportunity cost, right? Like if you're just chasing everything, unless you're just running a massive operation. But I personally believe that everybody that flips a gazillion houses, eventually they get to the point where they're like, I want to flip less houses with more profit. Everybody gets there eventually. And, staying with inside your buy box, as you said, really kind of keeps you on that side of the line, which, that's where I want to be. It sounds like that's where you want to be. We've had some good conversations here. People have heard some live, or not live, but recorded conversations you've had with actual sellers. Before we wrap up, let's give some people a few pointers here real quickly that they can use, out there in the trenches, we'll call it, of real estate investing and seller negotiations. What are a couple of really good pointers that people could use and take from this?
Yeah, so I'll break it down kind of first on phones. So if you're answering your phone calls live, which you should, especially if you're just getting started or you're newer, because you need to learn that part of the business before you outsource it. Before the phone rings, I have it set up on a call rail that it shows it's a seller calling me. So I always know it's a seller. So I always try to be in a good spot. I know everybody says always want a live answer, which I do have. If I don't want to answer, it goes to my sales guy now. But I want to be in a good spot, in a good frame of mind. Before the phone ring, or before I pick up the phone, I always smile. I always get myself in a good state of mind. You know, you don't want to be frustrated with the day. You don't want to be dealing with contractor issues, and then all of a sudden you answer the phone and you're like, well, hello, you know, super frustrated. I always try to be in a good mood, ready to go, and being excited to have a chance to talk to somebody and hopefully set an appointment. And then just having a process, like I said earlier, having a funnel in that process, having some scripts lined out. And I don't really like write down scripts. I just built them over the years of how I navigate people, the best way to navigate them through the phone call, and just having a really good idea of how you transition the phone conversation. Good conversation lasts anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes. Is probably your timeline is where you should probably be in that timeline. That gives you enough time to build rapport, talk about the house, and hopefully set an appointment. Don't be free to get on the phone or to set the appointment, or you slowly go in that time. And then once you get to the appointment, then you need to really go there with with a smile and just be ready to go. Be personable, be friendly. Talk to people like, you're talking to your aunt or uncle or cousin or a guy you just met at the bar or a guy you just met. Just go there with the mindset that I'm going to go build a relationship with this person and let the house get in the way. And the house is a byproduct if I build a relationship with this person. But at the end of the day, my number one goal is to build a solid foundation relationship with this person and become friends with them to a certain extent. Now, we're going out to have drinks all the time? No, but I'm friends with sellers on Facebook. People leave me really good reviews. They ask about me, how I'm doing later on down the road, how my marriage is doing, how my kids are doing. I ask them. I bring people back through the house after I fix it up sometimes, and so how do I go build a relationship with that person where they want to be invested in me, and then I'm also invested in them. So I think those are my key points that I always try to hit those bullet points in both ways.
Well, I think those are good ones that people can use. There's no question. There's just so much to this topic. It's hard to cram it into a podcast episode here, but we've got a special announcement. I'll put it in the closing here of this week's episode. We'll announce it for everybody. If you guys want to learn more kind of tricks, things that I use, and then obviously that Elliot uses on a daily basis in the real estate trenches, we've got a free resource that we're going to put together for everybody that I think you guys are going to dig. So stick around for the conclusion of this week's episode, and I'll let you know how you guys and gals can take advantage of that. So before we leave, any parting words of wisdom for our audience, or any last words?
Man, I just think just be a normal person, man. Just get out there, have fun with it. That's really the deal. I love people, so you got to learn to love people and just go have fun with this whole deal. And I think you'll make money doing it that way. Then there's no doubt about that. Whatever you're trying to build, if you can just go, whether you're a first-time guy taking the phone calls yourself, or you have a sales team with 7, 10, 15 guys. You got to learn how to go build relationships and go have fun with this, because this business is amazing. I mean, the freedom. I mean, I'm down here in Arizona doing this podcast. I'm talking about going to Arizona for a month in February because I hate the cold. The amount that you can do in this business is just amazing.
Yeah, I got to say I'm jealous about that, because it's not so amazing here weather-wise. It's cold, and I got to go pick up my kids. So
you can come
go
down.
do that in the cold.
We got an extra bedroom. Why don't you take one? We took one. You can come sleep down here. I think Greg Lynch is going to be down here golfing with his family this weekend. We got a conference. We're hanging out with Taro Yarber, the Fett Keys. Got some going to a conference. Should be fun. I mean, James and Violet Thornton, they were over last night. We got some fun people, man.
I'm jealous. I'm going to instead I'll be here playing Daddy Daycare in the cold. So you've officially made me jealous. But hey, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on here today and do this. Really appreciate it. Like I said, this is a very important topic, and it's one that there's not one way to do it. There's a variety of different ways to skin the cat, we'll say, when it comes to connecting with sellers, getting deals. But there's definitely kind of a framework that you can operate by. And we all kind of have a slightly different way of doing it, but we all operate under the same type of framework. And so I think it's important for everybody to hear that.
Yep, I totally agree. And I definitely think there's ways. that ethically are the right way to do this business. And I think, having a heart for people, you're never gonna lose in that situation. If you're looking at the house as the only part of this equation, then I think you're in this business for the wrong for the wrong reasons. And so having a heart for people, I think you're gonna go so much farther.
I couldn't agree with you more. All right, man. Well, thanks so much, and we'll chat again soon. All right. What did you guys think of that interview with Elliot? I thought it was a good one. I personally like these non-scripted type conversations that I get to have with people. I'll be honest, I write, maybe 2 or 3 questions down ahead of time, and then I just see where the conversation rolls, because I think that is where the best, not only content, but, for you guys, but conversation for me happens. And, I'm just one investor talking to another on how they do stuff, and I think that's where the magic happens. I think that's where the good stuff comes out. And so hopefully you guys got some good tips, tricks, ideas, ways to approach sellers, way to deal with sellers. We even spliced in some real calls that Elliot had. And hopefully you can take some of those strategies and you can implement in your business. Now, as I said in the intro, keep an eye out for next week. We're going to be opening up a free Facebook group for anybody that wants to continue to sharpen their skill set when it comes to negotiating with sellers. Elliot's going to be running that group, but we've got all our support behind him as well, and I'll be in there also kind of popping in and whatnot. But we'll send an email to everybody that's on our email list with the exact name of the group and a link to sign up for it or ask to join. And you guys can pop in there and say hey, and hopefully that's another resource for you to continue to get better at negotiating with sellers. Because like I said in the beginning, you got 2 fundamental skill sets that you need to be successful right now in real estate. 1 is marketing and getting the phone to ring, and 2 is being able to talk to people once the phone does ring and put deals together. So that's this week's show. Hopefully you guys dug it. Now before I leave, I'll leave you with a closing success quote. And this week's quote is by none other than Mr. JFK himself. I was looking online, found this quote, just happened to be by JFK. I thought, you know what, this is a good one since this week's topic is all about negotiations. And the quote is, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate." I think that ties in well, especially with the point that Elliot made in this week's show where he said, you can't be afraid to lose the deal, right? It makes you a much better negotiator. All right, guys, that wraps up this week's show. Hopefully you guys dug it. Got a lot of valuable information. I've got some more great guests coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks, so I will see you on the flip side.